Hey, what's going on? Whoa, whoa, we're not supposed to look at that yet. Can't we ever start a show the right way, like the way that it's supposed to start? Do we always have to, start the show with a I mean, it never goes right. Never goes right. Welcome to tonight's show. We're 5 for 5 tonight in the year 2024. I can very quickly assure you that is going to change. That is going to change very quickly, in fact. But for these last 5 nights, there have been 5 shows, and it's great. It's great. I used to do this all the time. When I had a lot more time in my hands than I do, I was doing a lot more. And as life gets busy and more complicated, it's harder and harder to go live. It's easier and easier to just throw a clip up, throw a rerun up from a previous episode. Tonight I have another Sublime show. We're talking about Sublime again. I've been talking about Sublime a lot as of late, and I'm happy about it. I like it. I like talking about Sublime. One of my favorite bands. And in the same way that we've slowly gone through Misfit stuff, and every occasionally we have a Misfit show and there's something really to talk about. That's not to say that we don't have a lot of great secret shows on the Patreon for YouTube members. But we're not doing an interview. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. I want to try to, expand my repertoire to some other groups. And one of them is Sublime. So we're just going to we're kind of rolling through, going through, sifting through, the band's history and mythology and this, that, and the other. I've talked before about how there's a similar, much like bands like the Misfits and whatnot. There's like a West Coast sort of cult mythology that surrounds Sublime. And I find the whole thing endlessly interesting. And tonight's topic is one that I don't ever really see discussed or talked about online much. And, I think I'm going to be asking a lot of rhetorical questions. Maybe not rhetorical questions. We'll be asking a lot of questions that I can't necessarily answer and will require pontification, which is something I'm not stranger to at all. I'm trying to share something on the thing here, and I'm quite clearly distracted. But I have a very interesting document that I accidentally flashed before. It's not the first time I've seen this document. I've seen this document before, but I came across it again, and I said, "Wow, yeah, that is something I want to talk about." Because, I mean, I got questions. I don't understand this thing. I want to know more. I want to in a way it kind of answers questions. That is assuming its veracity. It's verifying that it is real, that is an authentic document. So I want to start off by saying that it's a piece of paper that I came across on Facebook. Is it authentically real? Potentially not. And if that's the case, then, we can throw this whole thing out the window, but it's still it looks authentic enough that it's worth examining and poring over and making an educated guess based on stuff that we know, right? Something like that. The document in question is from 1994, and it's an agreement between the members of the musical group Sublime and Skunk Records. Now, whenever, Skunk Records is the label that released 40 Ounces of Freedom, as well as the Ziggins, and would release other bands, at the very end or later on or whatever, Slightly Stupid, at the end of Sublime's era, I should say. The Skunk Records is, I think, still technically going on. I don't know what the status of Skunk Records is today. A lot of I don't knows will be had in this episode. But basically, I guess, I don't know. This document is a representation of the partnership between on paper, or some sort of attempt. It's an attempt at establishing some sort of serious legal precedent for all the parties involved. Now, in a way, Sublime doesn't really take off until they kind of meet Miguel, right? Like, once they meet Miguel, and Miguel starts recording the band, and then they put out 40 Ounces of Freedom, and that circulates and, the band picks up more and more speed. They were a really great party band that needed to be recorded, right? And Miguel was the missing piece of the puzzle that was going to help them to do that. Like, but here's the first question I have to ask. Like, what was Miguel to Sublime? What was he? And you get a wide variety of answers or, half answers or educated guesses when people attempt to answer that question. In my mind, personally, from what I've read and what I've seen, I think it's uncontestable that Miguel was the fourth member of Sublime. He's the fourth member of Sublime. He's part of Sublime, from not only just recording the band, but playing on the records, playing live, driving the van, doing the sound, whatever things that he did, all the things that he did. He was a fixer. He was a manager of sorts. He was a wrangler. He was a caretaker. He did all of these things. To me, that makes him the fourth of all the fourth members. There's a bunch of fourth members of Sublime, right? Todd Foreman, Marshall Goodman, of course, Kelly Vargas. You can't forget Kelly Vargas. But I think that Miguel is in a weird, like, he's above that. He's on the next level, at least. I don't know. And, I don't ultimately know. I'm just, like I said, I'm speculating, but his position seems to be. And so what I always wondered is, why wasn't he more of an official band member, in the way that the other three were? And why, and how did things work out between them? Exactly. And this document sheds light on all of those things, which is why I want to take a look at it. So let's, without further ado, let's take a look at the, now, again, quick fill in on history here, brief, very casual, off the top of the dome. Please, anybody, especially if you are more well-versed in Sublime than me, please correct me if I am wrong. Miguel was playing live at the band when Bud left the band. He got strung out on drugs and he left the band or whatever. He was out of the band for a while. Kelly Vargas and a few other drummers. It wasn't just Kelly Vargas. Obviously it was Marshall Goodman. Marshall Goodman was the main drummer for 40 Ounces of Freedom. In fact, Marshall Goodman wrote, is credited as a co-writer on a bunch of songs on 40 Ounces of Freedom. So you have him, and then after he left, you have Kelly Vargas, right? Kelly Vargas came in. So you had a few different people in the mix, but one of those people that was playing live substantially with Sublime was Miguel. He was on second guitar. He was doing backing vocals. He had like a little sampler machine thing that he would do, and how do we know this? Because there's video and because, it's documented, it's known that he was. And then when Bud comes back into the band, I don't think there's a time where Bud, and I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when Bud comes back in the band in 93, and that's when Miguel exits and the band go back to being the trio that they were. And, I've said this many times. What's a testament to Sublime overall is the fact that no matter what the state, sometimes the shows were really sloppy and, flying off the rails when they would play live. And some of them were tight when the band, when they were sober, when they were whatever. Or when they were put together enough that they could just hold it, they could hold it down. But Sublime is like one of those rare examples where, like, the music was still cooking even when Brad wasn't playing guitar. Like, you think that, Brad, doing the rhythm ska upstrumming thing, like, that's one part, that's a crucial part of the sound. But, half the time he's got his hands on the mic and it's just drums, bass, and vocals. And for a band just doing drums, bass, and vocals during those live shows, they were unfucking believable. Just phenomenal that they could hold it together. The rhythm section of Bud and Eric was so tight. Those guys had such a mental connection that they could do that. And then Brad, he's just doing his, like, whatever's riffing, his freestyling thing over the drums and bass that they're putting down. It's like already like they have this sturdy platform for a trio. But with all of that being said, all of that to say that ultimately I always felt like when I listened to like all the recordings that I have of Sublime, I always felt like they could have taken it to a whole other level had they kept Miguel in the band as a second guitarist and keyboards and whatever else, whatever other periphery. The music, the studio music demanded it, and the live encapsulation of the studio music demanded it. And like it's just I think it's a shame, man. I don't, for whatever reason, especially when if Brad is like can barely play guitar, but he's doing his vocal thing and he's doing it well. It's like there's Miguel in the pocket, holding it down, just like Bud and Eric, But for whatever reason, that wasn't the case. And yet there was this understanding of this partnership, allegedly, with this document. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what this document is. So here is our document. Make myself a little smaller, make the document a little bit bigger. Here's what it says. I'm going to read it to you. It says February 24th, 1994. So here's something that's important. We got to look at the date. Where is Brad? Where are these guys at that time in 94? I can't say for certain in February, but I do believe from 93 to 94 is when Brad's drug use intensified to a level where they were very scared that he was going to die. They were worried that he was going to die. And things were, things had reached a head. So that's kind of where Brad was at some point, somewhere in some shape or form in that period. Mind you, I think that from 93 to 94, that's when Robin the Hood was recorded. And Robin the Hood is one of my favorite records. It was recorded in like crack houses, in tweaker pads, as as they say on the West Coast and whatnot. It was a very hairy kind of time. And yet for some reason, and, not much is known, or at least not much is publicly known about like, what exactly was happening, the interconnectiveness. Really, what we can go on is what's told to us in the book from the Crazy Fool book. There's a bunch of discussion about, Brad is really strung out on drugs, and it's very possible that he could kill himself by, shouldn't have said that on YouTube, that he could, unalive himself, and, that things were kind of hairy. So that's where, that's what I think of when I see that this is the year 1994. Agreement between the members of the musical group named Sublime and Skunk Records. The members of the band are, so right at the top, the members of the band are, and mind you, look at this Xeroxed weirdness. It's kind of off kilter. This doesn't look like it's photoshopped to me. It could be photoshopped. It doesn't look like it. It looks like a legitimate typed up document. At the end of the day, a contract is really an agreement where a bunch of people sign a piece of paper that holds up as a contract ultimately. And in this form, this is a very simple contract from the looks of it. It's an agreement. It's sort of writing something out like this. It's like establishing that we seriously want to establish the boundaries of what we are as a creative entity. And that's what I think is being outlined here when I look at this document. Members of the band: Bradley James Nowell, Eric John Wilson, Floyd I. Gaugh IV, and Miguel Charles Happoldt. Sublime and Skunk Records shall hereafter be considered synonymous and interchangeable. So that's very interesting. So this document is claiming that Sublime is Skunk Records and Skunk Records is Sublime, because, it's my understanding. I mean, when you hear them tell the story, they talk about how, Skunk Records was an excuse when, they're trying to get gigs and they need to be, it made them sound more official to have a moniker like Skunk Records. That, I think that's in the actual documentary that came out, and that never came out, from 2019, the one that was shelved. So these two things are kind of supposed to be, synonymous now. So that's what this document is solidifying these two parties. Sublime and or Skunk Records exists for two reasons. One, to perform music live for a fee. All monies earned in this matter shall be divided 3 ways equally and distributed equally to the following 3 band members: Nowell, Wilson, and Gaugh. And these 3 only unless otherwise decided by the band leader. So, I mean, that's really interesting, man. Why be a 3-piece live, but then not? Well, let me read the second part and then we'll deter. Part 2, to perform, record, produce, engineer, manufacture, and sell music by any and all means in order to gain a profit. All money earned in this matter shall be considered revenue of Sublime and Skunk Records. Regarding expenses shall, so this is a contract, man. This is establishing a precedent of what and how they want to conduct themselves in their business in the studio versus live. But the question remains, why are they a 4-piece in the studio and why are they a 3-piece live? Why is Miguel not there live with them? I don't understand that part. I just don't understand. Is there some sort of unspoken difficulty between them all? I don't know. I mean, at the end, after everything ended and Long Beach Short Bus, at the beginning, that was Miguel, Eric, and Bud. You know, I've said in the past, and I mean, I don't know if this would have worked, but, you know, I also think in my head, like, you know, what if they had continued on as a 3-piece, but not calling themselves Sublime, but calling themselves something else, with Miguel kind of taking over the frontman position, you know, a fire hose situation, basically. After the D Boon from the Minutemen, he died, and a new guitar player frontman came in and met up with Mike Watt and George Hurley, and together they started a band called Fire Hose, which was very similar musically to the Minutemen. And I'm not sure if they perform Minutemen songs, but the point is, like, you know, Sublime was deeply influenced by the Minutemen. So you would think that maybe some of this conversation would be entertained on some level. Of course, there's probably there's politics that none of us are aware of, that prevented something like that from happening, you know, because again, Miguel takes a bench. He basically gets benched as a live player, but he's continuing to work with the band in the studio. So let's keep reading what it says. Regarding expenses shall include retained earnings as well as costs incurred in the recording process, except for labor. So labor is not counted. So the hourly, whatever. Yes, I've always said, Aaron, I've always said Secondhand Smoke. That would have been the name. That would have been the perfect name. Glad you liked the Sublime talk. You watched the other videos about the Sublime. Good. That's good. Secondhand Smoke all the way, man. That would have worked. And while we're here, let's take a quick sponsor break with Riot Stickers. If you need stickers, Riot Stickers is the place to go. They do weatherproof vinyl stickers with a UV coating. And right now, the Frumess channel has a special sponsorship with Riot Stickers. If you go to riotstickers.com/Frumess, you can get 200 die cut stickers for $69. Die cut stickers are cut with a computer guided scalpel, which needs to be a band name, by the way. I really think so. This allows you to have your sticker in whatever shape that you want. Okay. Right, Angus? Right? Am I right? So, so pick up your stickers today. Link is down in the description. You go to riotstickers.com/Frumess and you get those stickers for $200. Did I just say $200? I meant you're going to get 200 stickers for $69. That's what I really meant to say. Let me play the 60-second less than Jake theme song. And we will continue with our dissection of this document.
Posters and promo cards, there's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads. 'cause we are the bomb.
And that's a promise. All right. So we're talking about this document. Expenses shall not include the cost of live performance and or travel unless otherwise decided by the band leader. So they are going to great lengths to basically separate and compartmentalize, assuming this document is real and authentic. They're going to great lengths to separate and compartmentalize who they are in the studio versus who they are as a live band. And it just does not make any sense. Expenses shall not include, sorry, it's very hard to read this because it's very tiny print and it's really hard to do this with sunglasses. Why are you wearing sunglasses in a darkened basement when it's nighttime? Expenses shall not include the cost of all live Expenses shall not include the cost of live performance and or travel unless otherwise decided by the band leader. Who is this band leader? I wonder. I bet we're going to find out in 2 seconds. The amount of retained earnings shall be determined by the band leader. All money left over after deducting expenses as defined above from revenue as defined above shall be considered net profit. Net profit shall be divided 4 ways equally and distributed equally to the following 4 band members: Nowell, Wilson, Gaugh, and Happoldt. So Miguel is a 4th member of Sublime, but he's never qualified as such. In fact, he's not even interviewed in the 2019 documentary, which is a travesty considering how important his perspective, his POV. I mean, he is a 3rd pillar. Besides those other 2 guys, he's the 3rd pillar to be heard from. So the fact that he was, and again, I'm assuming that there are politics, there's some sort of, personalities in politics, they get in the way of these things and they prevent, the changing of narratives and altering of narratives. Who knows what? I'm not here to point fingers. But the point is that Miguel is a 4th member of the band, but only in the studio. It also explains that why Miguel had so much skin in the game, even when he wasn't playing with the live band anymore. He wasn't in the entourage. He was, he was a member of the band that just was not on the stage. I don't get it. I just don't fucking get it. Regarding band member Bradley James Nowell. So this is important. And again, who came up with this document? Whose decision was this? Is this Brad? Is this Brad making this decision? Is this Brad maybe this is Brad telling Miguel, and again, pure speculation here. Just want to say, pure speculation. I do not know. I am speculating. I am not sure. I'm not speaking as if this is fact. Ready? Is this document a means of appeasing Miguel or the other band members in a way where Miguel can retain his place in the outfit, in the organization, while appeasing some other unforeseen motivation or reason for why he can't be in the live band anymore? And maybe it's just a really simple answer. There's just a really simple, obvious answer that I just don't know. It was always my understanding that there are versions of songs from 92 where Miguel is singing the lead instead of Brad. Like, he was really synonymous in the band at that point in time. So it's like, what changed? A, what changed? And B, is this document a promise to Miguel? Is this document a way of keeping Miguel involved, but also distancing him at the same time? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it really scratches the head to read it. This bottom piece right here talking about regarding band member Bradley James Nowell. Nowell receives sole ownership and sole right to use the name Sublime and or the right to amend this agreement, including the termination or addition of band members, and shall hereafter and forever be considered the band leader. So this is Brad when he is at his most, or this is Brad at either coming off of, in the middle of, or about to dive into a period of being incredibly strung out, because he would, and again, my chronology, my timeline is off. There were periods where he was sober. There were periods where he was not sober. He would go back and forth. He'd get a little time. He'd lose it. He'd get a little time, lose it. They went to rehab. When Troy became pregnant, he went into rehab and cleaned up for a while. It was always like a game of tennis, right? But this document is this, and is this document, here's the other thing, is this document the basis also for Bradley's trademarking of the band name? Or so in tandem with this document, is there a trademark? Because when Eric and Bud try to play as Sublime with Rome initially, there's an injunction from the Nowell family saying that Bradley owned this. Bradley was the band leader. Bradley has the trademark. Does this document play into that in any way? Assuming that it is a real document. The signatures down below, I don't know what their signatures look like. It looks pretty fucking real to me. It looks pretty gosh darn real to me. But it just makes it all the more interesting. It also makes me kind of happy because Miguel was such an integral part to the operation. He was such a necessary and important aspect. Like, here's the thing. One could say the environment and situation that eventually led to the demise of Bradley Nowell and the stopping of Sublime also at the same time allowed them to get as far as they did. Because if Miguel had not been around, who knows? Who knows how much they would have been able to function. When they were recording Sublime, the self-titled album, you hear all the stories about how Miguel was fixing the painting and doing this and doing that. There's stories about him playing him coming in on guitar, doing leads, this, that, and the other. After Bradley passed away, that's the lyric. Summertime. Is it summertime or doing time? It's doing time. That's Miguel, who had to step in and overdub the part, because Brad, I remember that from the Legacy Sublime self-titled release from 2006. They talked about that. They restored the lyric "Summertime," I believe, is what happened. Aaron says he's watching me live with my Friday night magic crew. Hello, magic crew. Is it literally a crew of magicians, or is it just like your crew that happens to be magical? I'm very curious to know. That would be interesting to know. Let me see what I can do here. I'm going to put this really fucking low because, so what I want to play for you now, I want to play for you some of the only video that exists. There's a few things out there. Some of the only video that exists of Miguel playing with Sublime. This is when Bud is not in the band, as I mentioned. Again, some of this stuff is spotty for me. I know I'm not exactly solidified on the timeline. So again, I really want to put it out there. Like, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Apart from my opinions, like the one I'm about to, the one I've been saying about like how integral and how incredible they were with Miguel in the band. What's up, Whizbang? How are you tonight? All right, let me cue this up. This is where I need a producer to cue this stuff up for me. Okay. So this right here is this is from June 24th, 1992. And what really makes it like beyond special, excuse me, that's the seltzer coming back up. What really makes it so incredibly special. Oh, didn't mean to do that. That's what I meant to do. Yeah. Okay. Let's stop sharing the other guy real quick. There we go. That makes it better. What really makes, oh God, what was I saying? Okay. So this is a record release for No Doubt. The No Doubt, they're doing a show with No Doubt. I think it's for their self-titled album. There's not a lot of public, at least. I'm sure behind the scenes there's more. There's not a lot of Sublime pre-1992 live. Brad didn't start using heroin until 1992, and that's when the band, got a lot sloppier and most of what was recorded of them is when Brad was on, drugs, or when when you had to contend with the possibility of a very drunk, very stoned Brad. Whereas here he was a lot more clean. He was cleaner, and therefore, his playing was better. And you see it right here in this video, man. You see it right here. Aaron says, Magic the Gathering players. I'm an LGS for my store. That's great, man. It's funny. I was showing my son how to play Magic. We got a deck, and I was trying to teach him about the mana and stuff. Magic's fun. That was a fun game when I was younger. Great game. That's cool though. The Magic crew. What color? What kind of deck you got? You got the black deck, the red deck. Is it a mixture? Is it a red and white, blue and green, black and blue? All right, let's watch this. I'm gonna keep the volume low so there's no echo here. I hope this works. Let's see. We're getting ready to play now. Again, you can see over here. There's Eric. That's Kelly Vargas. His brother, Matt Vargas, is mentioned in Greatest Hits. And it's Matt Vargas who supposedly recorded Raleigh Theodore Sakers. That recording came from Matt Vargas, and that's when it all got passed around. Supposedly. That's what Eric personally told to me when I met him in 2005. I asked him, I said, where does that recording come from? He said that was Matt Vargas who made that recording. So according to Eric, unless he's whatever. And then you can see there's Miguel right here, and there's Todd Foreman. I shouldn't play this while I'm talking because it comes out all distorted. There's Todd Foreman, and you're going to see him while out like a white boy. It's really great. And then there's Brad over to the side, and you'll just hear how incredible they sound doing DJs. Thank God somebody recorded this, because it's tremendous. So that's actually the intro for what happened, but then they go right into DJs, and it's just, the band is cooking, man. So you're going to see Todd Foreman just acting like a white fool, like a white boy dancing, and it's great. But listen to all the extra stuff that Miguel is doing live on the stage. He's doing that little sample bit. He's got his guitar. He's doing the backing vocals. He's free. Bradley was always freeing himself up just to be the front man, because Bradley was an excellent front man. But what was missing from the trio version of Sublime that played live was this element that was filling in all the pockets that needed to be filled in. And that was a glaring omission from later Sublime. I'm sorry to say, they were a better band. They were just a better band here. They were. Listen, no disrespect to Bud and the trio Sublime that occurred later. They are fucking great in their own right. I love them. Absolutely. Like, no disrespect, but like this configuration was tremendous. Just tremendous. They really had their shit together. They really did. Sublime was always sloppy and falling off the rails, and I love them for it. I do. And like I said, I love that combination of drums, bass, and vocal. No guitar, just doing that, just tight in the pocket. But man, this band with the extra live production, it just works better, man. At least for my personal taste. You hear what he's doing? That little extra he's playing that sort of bassier guitar, that low endy kind of little riff thing that's always missing from every version of DJs. All that shit is getting filled in, man. I mean, even right there, I stand corrected. That's just drums and bass, baby. That's just drums and bass. Neither one of them are playing the guitar at that point. Neither one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just fucked, man. You know, it's funny. I saw a picture of Miguel with Jake, and they were standing with Brad's old gear right before Jake was going to perform with Bud and Eric at that Positive Vibes thing for HR. I can't even imagine what is like. It must be surreal for Bud and Eric for sure, but like just something like I can't even imagine what must have been going through Miguel's mind when how he must have been so proud and just like, I don't know, just very, it was a great picture, but I was just like the expression on his face. He's standing with his good friend's son, his best friend's son, whatever, his collaborator's son, who is now a man, the same age that Brad was when he passed away. I mean, what a head trip that must have been for him. And then I'm flashback. It's like, look, there they are playing together. You know, I just want to say too, if it wasn't Kelly Vargas, if it was Bud here now, Bud is great too. Like Bud would have been fine in this configuration as well. I'm just saying this configuration, not them as a three-piece. If it was Kelly Vargas, Eric, and Bud, which it was as well, right? If it was them as a three-piece, I would say the same thing. It's not about the players. It's about the fact that they're missing elements that they need for the live show. That's it. That's the clip. I think that clip really sort of highlights how important Miguel was live to the band. He just did. He just was. He just was, man. And he clicked and he vibed and that was a great band. That was a really, really great band. And, like I said, and then, they would go on to do Self-Titled, and Self-Titled would sell millions of copies. I mean, altogether, Sublime has sold like 20 million albums. And, I would imagine, I would hope, I want to believe that because he was so instrumental in all that stuff, because of this agreement, I would hope that Miguel is, 25% of that. Whatever shares that they had as recording artists, that Miguel was 1/4 of that. How about that? I hope that for him, because Lord knows he deserves it. He deserved it. He deserves it. And that he's alive and sassy and out there, to enjoy it. So I want to imagine. I want to believe that is true. You know, ultimately, is it any of our business? Is it any of my business? No, none of this is my business. But it's interesting when stuff like this, when this stuff surfaces, when these documents surface, it's just a fascinating, it's so fascinating to look at them. So like the three things to take away from this document are: one, we want to separate ourselves. There's three takeaways here. One, we want to separate ourselves as a live entity from a recording entity, both synonymous in the Skunk Records and Sublime. Two, when we're in the studio, we're a 4-piece and we all split equally, right? And three, Brad is the uncontested band leader who can swap people out. He can replace people. He is the head honcho. So I don't know, man. Very interesting. What are the reasons? We don't know. We already discussed what I thought, possibly to appease Miguel, or maybe to appease Brad. I don't know. Who knows? Who friggin' knows, man? We don't know. We ultimately don't know, but it's interesting nonetheless. So let me know. What do you think in the comments? Tell me what you think. Put it down in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. That's it. That's all I got. That's the show. So we did 5 shows, 5 days. Probably going to take tomorrow off. Maybe we'll be back on Sunday for another one. Just starting 2024 off with a bang. So thank you so much. Peace. Hair grease. Never got into Skank and Pickle. Did not. Kind of like the original AFI. I'm not, man. I don't know much about AFI. I really don't. So I couldn't confirm nor deny that was the case. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace and hair grease.